What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down some very important information on Tesla using TradingView, and then talk about what the news is saying about the markets, what the news is saying about Tesla, and some very important things to look for today. Before I break anything down about all this information, though, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, and it's in just about 12 hours, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the overall market. So looking at Tesla, over the last couple of days, Tesla's been very flat, going back and forth and back and forth. And now the market's making an attempt to rebound right now, but we're actually going to be fighting some key resistance levels. And we have to watch how it reacts to that for us to truly turn bullish. Now, right now, let me just be very clear. The market could still drop more. SPY could still drop towards these low levels, like 420, 418, the levels people are calling out. Yes, it could drop a lot more. But before we drop more, we might see an attempt to just rebound a bit. We're going to see a counter trend rally attempt. And we're going to be watching these very key resistance levels to determine how big of an attempt this is going to be. So I'm going to talk about SPY in just a minute, but let's first talk about Tesla and all these different tickers. So for Tesla, it's very tight. It's getting very, very tight and getting ready for some kind of big move. And we're going to be watching this very, very carefully as time goes on. Now, when it comes to news affecting it, however, there's not really any major pieces of data coming out. We have some crude oil data today, but nothing too big for today. And a couple of things to know about the markets. Target is closing some stores, saying it's because of crime in many areas like San Francisco and New York, according to that. We also have the UAW going on with Joe Biden once again at the strikes, at the protests, and he's participating in them. We also have the same thing that was going on for Hollywood writers, but they're once again allowed to work again after the union that was just continuing. And finally, I just have two more things. The FTC, known as the Federal Trade Commission, has filed a long expected lawsuit against Amazon in federal courts, accusing them of using monopoly power to basically stifle their competition. So that's some big news coming out for Amazon for anyone that's interested. And finally, the market is trying to rebound with futures, as futures are starting to rebound just a little bit. For Tesla in particular, we had some news that came out. Once again, Wall Street is not expecting a record. They're not giving Tesla the best kind of expectations for this next deliveries report. And they've been doing this many times in the past. We'll see if Tesla could break records or not. It's unlikely they're going to break an all-time high record, in my opinion, looking at the Chinese numbers. But, I'm not going to make any promises, though, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens during the third quarter deliveries report, which is coming out very soon. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla, let's break down how it's looking. Tesla's very tight, going back and forth and back and forth, and it's still in this range between this 238 to about 250 area, but it's been stuck between like 242 and about 250 for many days now, just stuck going back and forth and back and forth. When we zoom into the chart like this, you will notice that we're basically forming a wedge, getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and we could continue in this wedge for today unless we get some kind of breakout. So if you want to turn bullish on Tesla, you want to see it break to the upside, break out of this wedge and test 250. If we hold above 250, we can see Tesla pushing towards the higher levels, like 255 plus. If you're bearish on Tesla, you want to see it break below and hold below 240. You could argue there's a flag forming, but nothing is guaranteed until we see the breakout. So we want to watch which way it ends up breaking and see which direction ends up holding it. If we break below 240, we have the potential to sink a lot lower. If we get to the upside and see 250 being tested and break it, we could start seeing this thing pump. The news could affect Tesla, so it all depends on the news and these different factors. And we're really tight, so it's very indecisive. You look at the candles, let me just show you. We're just really, really indecisive. You look at these candlesticks for the last couple of hours on the hourly time frame. It's just indecisive. It doesn't know which way it wants to go just yet. So we're going to be watching to see what it does. It looks like it may make an attempt to pop with the market, in my opinion. It depends on if it could try to hold above this wedge. And if it does so, can this thing get back up to 250? I'm leaning a little bit more bullish for the temporary time frame, but I'm going to be watching it just to see confirmation. So watch and see if it could get above 246.25. It gets that. We have this resistance around this 248 area. Could we break above that? And if we do end up doing that, then 250 is on the cards. And we have to get above 250 to turn a lot more bullish. Now, you could also argue that Tesla has an accumulation forming right over here. So that's going to be very key for it, as Tesla's once again at these very important levels. And we just want to look at this from a very, very unbiased perspective nonetheless. So we're also approaching these very, very important key fib levels right about here. You can see Tesla's currently at it's getting very close to the 0.382. So that's going to be very important from this retracement perspective. I'm becoming a little bit more leaning in the direction of Tesla trying to break to the upside, but I need to watch it just for confirmation. So that's what Tesla's looking like, indecisive. But I'm leaning a little bit more towards it trying to get closer to 250, but we need to watch it just to be safe. Now, for the rest of the tickers, I'm going to just try to go through them very fast. Just to be clear, if SPY wants to turn bullish, you want to see it hold above 428. It's attempting to get above the 50 EMA. If you're bearish, you want to see it break below 426.5 to come to the 425s. It looks like it's attempting to break this 50 EMA at 428. We'll see if it can do that or not. That's the test that's happening, a bounce attempt. If it does so, we could turn bullish and it's going to push towards 430. If it fails, it's just going to trade sideways from here. So watch that as resistance. There's a good chance it's going to try to break it. For Apple, we're going to be watching the same thing. If we're bullish, you want to see it get above 173.39. If we're bearish, you want to see it break below 172.5. It looks like it's going to try to get up to this 173.39 area, try to break out. It's attempting to push, but we need to see it break the 50 for confirmation. So as of right now, that's the resistance to watch for. Can Apple break above this? It is attempting to do it, but we have to wait and see. There's a possible inverse head and shoulders on Apple that's developing, so I am leaning a little bit more in the direction of it trying to break out, but just to be safe, watch for confirmation. That's always important to do. And same thing on SPY, I forgot to mention, we have a potential inverse head and shoulder structure. So it's possible this thing makes an attempt to break, but we have to get above 428 for confirmation. So watch that very carefully for today. On the QQQ, same thing, potential inverse head and shoulders, but we need to get above 356. If we break that, 358 is on the table. If we're bearish, you want to see it break below 354, and that's going to take you down to the 353s, 352.5 area. Could the market drop lower? Yes, it can. It could drop lower in the future, right? Over the next couple of trading days, we could see another big sell-off. But before the sell-off happens, the market's attempting to bounce. So we want to watch this 356 level very, very carefully. Let's see if the QQQ could break it. I'm leaning a little bit more in the direction of it trying to break, looking at these wicks forming on the 30 minutes time frame. Also this inverse head and shoulders, and also the fact that we dropped really hard yesterday, so we are due for a slight bounce after becoming very oversold and forming a bullish divergence. So I'm leaning a little bit more in that direction. For Nvda is very tight right now, getting tighter and tighter, but it's trying to get it back up to this 424 area. I believe Nvidia is going to test this. We're going to see if Nvidia could hold this or not. If we hold above 424, then it has the potential to get it up to about 428 to 430 again. If it ends up failing and it breaks below 420, you are going to turn bearish. I think it's going to try to break 424, and it may end up doing that. So I'm leaning a little bit more in that direction, but we have to watch for confirmation. The VIX is slowing down as we expected, so nothing out of the ordinary is going on right here. It is due to slow down a bit after this thing was up like 12% yesterday. The dollar is also slowing down a little bit, so that's a decent sign for the bulls. Finally, looking at Google, same thing is going on, very flat. Same thing with Meta and all these different tickers. So I just want to be clear, guys. Yes, the market's attempting to rebound, but you want to be watching our resistance levels just to be safe. Watch them as confirmation. Tesla's trying to break, but you want to be watching to see if it can get above 246, sorry, and then we have 247 after that, 248. And if we get above 248, then it most definitely has the potential to go up to about like 250. So far, it hasn't done that. It's just very tight, very flat. So you want to be watching to see any kind of breakout on Tesla. Once again, this is what it's looking like. There's like a wedge forming. So we'll see if we can get a break to the upside or not. Watch everything very carefully. And with that said, I thank you all so much for listening. All right. So take care, guys. Watch your resistance very carefully. Watch this wedge and see if Tesla could try to get above 248. If it manages to do so, we could turn more bullish. If we get above 250, that would be even more bullish. But as of right now, Tesla hasn't done that. So watch it and do what you have to do, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you and peace out.